If you're a longtime viewer of mine, then you know how much I love physical media. From DVDs to records to mysterious VHS tapes, I am clearly in no shortage of material objects to surround myself with, tethering me greater to this fleeting earth and karmic cycle of life and death. It may seem outdated and almost purposefully inconvenient to hang on to stuff like this at a time when streaming is quick, easy, and cheap. For now. And to that I say, I actually prefer owning the media that I watch and not necessarily needing the internet to do so. Keep in mind that when you pay for a subscription service, you're not paying for the movies and music. You're paying for access to a selection of titles, ones that are constantly changing availability due to copyright and contracts and all that. Now, I'm not saying cancel all your subscriptions, reinvest in Blockbuster, long live Betamax. I mean, I still use a lot of streaming services. I'm not some basement doomsday prepper like, gotta keep every last DVD and VHS safe in this bunker. Any day now, the HBO Max Terminators are gonna bust down my door and seize my copy of The Blazing Ninja. It's nice to actually own something without a third party getting involved, but I think there's much more than just a functional reason people still buy physical media. Speaking as an amateur videographer, it's a lot more effective if I actually have something physical to show you guys on camera when I talk about it. One of the first rules you learn in film school is show, don't tell. There's a reason nature is a lot more interesting coming from David Attenborough than from blocks of black and white text in a biology book. Visuals are engaging, they capture the audience's attention, and I find it makes for a better video if I have a tangible engagement with my subject. I would have no justification to talk about obscure thrift store media if I didn't show you the media I was talking about. However, not everyone's a video creator. You're not all trying to convince your friends that Zombie is the most screwed up franchise in film history. God, I hope not. I think that there's a level of sentimentality that guides a lot of not just us purchasing physical media, but the reason we collect stuff in the first place. I mean, how much more meaningful is it to hold something up and say, this is my favorite album of all time? This is Military Affairs Neurotic by G.I.S.M, one of the rarest records I own from one of my favorite bands of all time. G.I.S.M's sound was like punk rock and heavy metal had a baby that ate nothing but PCP and cigarettes until it was old enough to fight. It was like nothing I had ever heard before, and my edgy middle schooler brain fell in love with a bunch of disturbed heshers from Japan. And that's why I was willing to track down an original release of this album. I would consider this one of my favorite records of all time. Don't ask why the cover is a skeleton sucking a dick. It was really expensive, by the way. I sank $80 into this thing, and I was actually lucky to find it that cheap. Some of these go for upwards of like $400. Now, with all of that justification I just went through, ask me how much I actually put this album on. Well, a lot, but every other record I own, not so much. I'm a busy gal. I don't have time to set up my turntable every time I want to listen to music. I have video essays to not finish. But sometimes the actual use is not really what you want out of your ownership. My friend Mike, who's been on the channel before, likes King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard so much, he has a copy of Nonagon Infinity on his wall, despite not even owning a record player. I mean, who cares? 90% of the time, if I bought the album, I already listened to the music. I just want to have something to hang up on my wall and say, yeah, I like that thing. And I'm sure the way that my friend feels about King G.I.S.M and the King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard is the same way I feel about G.I.S.M. It's a form of self-validation if you really think about it. I mean, what confirms your love for something more than having spent money on it? God damn, we live in a late stage capitalist hell. I mean everything I say still, but like that I just said that. The comment section of my last video about crazy and confusing film titles led to a lot of great discussions that I want to bring up here. Username Voltajuice and I discussed our shared interest in the Blind Dead series. I brought up how I discovered them in one of those 50 horror movie packs. Now, Voltajuice seemed to know exactly what I was saying because we're both fucking crazy, it seems. But for everyone else, we're talking about some really niche crap over here. These things. Oh, jeez. These things. Boy, howdy do they bring back memories. I like how they advertise that Jack Nicholson's in here. They don't tell you that it's the original Little Shop of Horror. He was in it for 2 minutes.
Oh my god, don't stop now!
Ah, the movie value pack. I used to go ballistic the rare times I would find one of these at an FYE. Do y'all have FYEs? Anyways, most of these are made by the same company, Milk Creek Entertainment. They have more than just horror packs, but I never really bought anything else. Though the price range depends on the quantity of films offered, you can get them for pretty cheap online. Around $15 a pop, give or take. With 50 movies, that's about 30 cents a movie. Wow, what a deal! The catch is, most of these movies are in the public domain and ones you probably wouldn't want to watch in the first place. 99% of them are free online, sometimes even in better quality than the DVD. But let's be honest, free or not, you wouldn't want to watch Santa Claus Conquers the Martians if I paid you. Mill Creek makes bank finding the cheapest scans of these films that the directors didn't even want the rights to anymore, shoving them onto a DVD with no chapter select or special features, and calling them a value pack. Yeah, value for them, that's a $15 markup! I'm about to run Mill Creek out of business. Watch me. I'm gonna put all the zombie movie files on a DVD and sell it on eBay. It's the official Dead Air Films 8 zombie movie pack. There. Now give me $15. I mean, this company is straight up scamming people. These are scams. Buying these packs is a waste of money, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love Mill Creek so much. God, I am not immune to propaganda. Maybe it's not your idea of fun, but I just love popping in a random movie, going in blind to see what in God's name people consider a killer creature feature. Is a creature from the Black Lagoon's alcoholic uncle over here? Cause yeah, that's in the bundle too. FYI, if you're a fan of so bad it's good movies, then these are worth every penny. Hell, these aren't movies. These are tax write-offs in celluloid clothing. But I'm addicted to B-movies, and my dealer is Mill Creek. The value is not in the monetary worth of each movie, but in the experience of having them all together. Nothing was funnier than watching The Screaming Skull for the first time at a sleepover, a movie so goofily bad it became an inside joke for us at school. And I wouldn't have known about the Sons of Hercules' weird chronology from the last video if I didn't find them in these Mill Creek compilations. I even grew to unironically enjoy some of these movies, like Don Dohler's Galaxy Invader and The Alien Factor. Had I not found these box sets, I never would have watched these on my own. I never would have found them on my own. But I now have a personal connection to films that, in any other life, I would have written off as a bunch of shitty old movies. But there's something about physical media that goes much deeper for me. I like to see my collection as an effort in historical preservation. Don't worry, I haven't fooled myself into thinking this is some sort of noble effort. Like I'm gonna be called upon one day, like, the fabric of society is collapsing! Quick! Someone save Zombie 3! But you know, with all the graces in the world, I'd like to consider myself an amateur preservationist. If for no one else, then for myself. James Deetz has a great book on American archaeology called In Small Things Forgotten. I promise this is going somewhere. In this book, he highlights an often overlooked aspect of archaeology, that of everyday objects. Things not necessarily old enough to carbon date, but not necessarily young enough either to really understand fully. From old earthenware pottery to pre-colonial smoking pipes, Deetz assembles a picture of everyday pre-modern American life with the tiniest puzzle pieces, the items we tend to not even bother with. One of the last things he says in this book really stuck with me for a long time after I read it. It is terribly important that small things forgotten be remembered. For in the seemingly little and insignificant things that accumulate to create a lifetime, the essence of our existence is captured. In some ways, each of these pieces of media that I own come from their own time and historical context. They're material culture, as archaeologists would say. As an example, it's hard to imagine now, but for a period of time, bootleg Evangelion DVDs were more readily available and easier to access than the real deal. Even after Netflix acquired it and made it pretty widely available, if you wanted to watch the original ADV English dub, you either had to break the bank or become a fucking pirate.
You wouldn't steal it, Evangelion.
I got this secondhand, by the way. It shipped from Malaysia. Someone wanted to watch Evangelion so badly that they were willing to implicate themselves in minor criminal activity for VHS quality episodes on a DVD with a glued label. And now, I own evidence of a crime. The worst crime that this bootleg committed is not copyright infringement. It's writing the title in a sans serif font. But terrible graphic design aside, I try to take care of these things with the hope that one day they'll be enjoyed by someone else. I also like to think that I'm not just preserving my ownership of these objects, but everyone else's ownership of it before me. Often I find used books with underlined text or sticky notes from a class. Honestly, it excites me. I take my time to read them, trying to put myself in their headspace. Maybe they were studying really hard for a test, thinking to themselves, God, why do I have to learn this shit? Whether it's a video store rental or a book from the library, I like knowing that many others enjoyed it before it ended up in my hands. Something that always piques my interest, however, is when a book that came from a school library has all the names of the people who borrowed it. This is a copy of Beowulf that I got at a local thrift store. If we look inside the front cover, I'm gonna do my best to blur the last names, but we get a mini timeline of about how long this book was at that school. Look here, this guy's name is George Redacted, and then a few years later, this other guy wrote, George Redacted is fat. Bullying. Kind of reminds me of how they would find ancient Roman graffiti that was just people talking each other and being freaky. Look, this person here crossed their name out, and wait, what the fuck? Shout out to Drake here for dating it to 2010, so now we have a general time frame for this artifact. I really do wonder if any of these students remember reading Beowulf. Did any of them even really enjoy it? I mean, I had to read Beowulf in high school, along with a bunch of other books, and I can barely remember any of them. I mean, To Kill a Mockingbird, Catcher in the Rye, The Tao of Pooh, you know, the 3 greatest books of all time. But at one point in time, I held them. I touched those pages, I engaged with those words, and even though I can't relay to you any of those words, I would be a different person had I not read them. Just like people, physical media is always changing. It can get old, it can even get some wear and tear, but at the end of the day, it always has the same identity. The same cover. Though we may give away our movies and books when we're done and let their stories fade from our mind, we cannot remove the impact that they left on us and the fingerprints we left on them. Speaking of signatures left on physical media, I have an update of that creepy Kung Fu VHS I found. Now, I first brought this up in my obscure thrift store media video, which you can check out right up here. So, to recap, I got this copy of Dragon Force Operation secondhand. It's an old Hong Kong kung fu movie, no one's ever heard of it. So anyways, I popped the movie in, halfway through the credits, this creepy shit happens.
Wouldn't let me go. So when I was staying at Grandma and Grandpa's, he found out what Derek was doing. He punched him.
Basically, someone taped over this VHS and I want to know what show this is. Now, someone commented on that video suggesting that it might be Days of Our Lives, which is possible. However, that show has been on since 1965. I am not combing through thousands of hours of a series that's almost as old as the frickin' Civil Rights Act. If Days of Our Lives is the answer, and they're not even certain of it, then I suppose I could just narrow my search down to episodes from the 80s to the 2000s. That is still a lot of goddamn episodes to sit through for a show that sucks. In terms of uncovering how this was taped over, though, I found out something very interesting about VHS technology. Every blank VHS tape and ones made for cameras come with a recording tab, while commercial VHSs sold at video stores do not. This is to prevent an internal component of the VCR machine pushing down on the recording tab, writing over a rental movie or something important. So obviously, blank tapes at the store were meant to be recorded over, while VHS tapes from Blockbuster were not. Hey, guess what my copy has? If we look at the underside, you can see right there, recording tab. Should not be on a commercial VHS. So here's what I think happened. The VHS was a rental. It was probably a bootleg or made in some company that doesn't make proper VHS tapes. Seems pretty reasonable that someone would have left it in their VCR, recorded TV over it, or a kid was messing with the VCR, and they stopped it suddenly so it wouldn't, you know, deface a movie. Either way, we still don't know what the clip is from for certain, but we now know how this happened. I think I'm pretty spot on with my assessment. That being said, though, thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching so much. I really wanted to make a more candid video that felt less curated. I'm still gonna do, you know, like long form video essay stuff where I cite a bunch of sources and I go into really big depth about one topic. But I've been working on this idea since August, and there's ghosts up in here, bruh. Well, now everyone knows how I light my videos. Despite God not wanting me to tell you guys this, I've been working on a video idea since August, but I greatly underestimated how much research I would need to do for that topic. I didn't want to half-ass the video, but I also wanted to get something out before the end of September, around at least the beginning of October. I also have something very fun planned for Halloween, so I'm going to be dedicating a lot of my time to that for now. I mean, I really can't wait to show you guys what I have in store next, so please hit subscribe, give me a like, and Leave a comment if you have something to add. You know, do you prefer physical media? Do you prefer streaming or anything else? Let me know. Anyways, I'm gonna fix this whole fiasco. See you guys next time.